Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Bill Hormann. We're going to begin this evening with breaking news. Toledo police investigating a man shot. The spot is the 500 block of Dexter. This happened about an hour ago. Investigators say they found a man behind a house. He claimed to be the victim of a robbery, but he's in the hospital now with a gunshot wound in his back. Should be okay, but investigators are hunting for a gunman at this hour.
Let's get back to Bill Hormann, who has a question for Marcy Kaptur.
We've talked a little bit about Obamacare. You supported it, as you said. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that the plan is constitutional, but that the individual portion mandating participation was a tax. So in essence, haven't you voted for a tax on middle-class Americans who might have chosen not to be part of Obama's health care plan?
Well, I think that's a very good question, Bill.
All right, Bill Hormann, you are next up for Congresswoman Kaptur.
Well, let's follow up on the tax cuts. Twice, President Obama extended the Bush tax cuts for every American who pays taxes. Now it's an election year, and he's proposing ending the tax cuts for people who make $250,000 a year and more. The economy is still slow, which was the reason he extended it twice before. Why raise taxes now when the economy is still growing at an anemic 2%?
Good question.
All right, we're going to stay with Bill Hormann. And this question for Mr. Wurzelbach.
Well, it kind of relates to jobs and even the supply of gasoline. Governor John Kasich over the summer signed an executive order that banned drilling for oil and natural gas in Lake Erie in case the federal government were to come and say, let's drill in Lake Erie. Ohio has a fall safe. Should we allow drilling of oil and natural gas in Lake Erie if it creates jobs and if it increases supplies in those gas?
Absolutely.
The president and Republicans on Capitol Hill have agreed to extend the payroll tax cut. It's going to cost us $100 billion, but that's money that taxpayers get to keep. However, that money goes into the Social Security Fund. It's $9 trillion in deficit right now. Would you extend that tax cut, or would you offer some other tax cut if you were president?
Well, much as he did.
Well, sure he did. If he's going to support something, then why not just go out and support it and come what may? Because his thinking, Mr. Council President, was that I have to represent 100% of the people. Not all of them are union members.
Well,
And Bill joins us live with more tonight. Bill.
Lee, the president has a room full of speechwriters. He has dozens of policy experts. They've all been crafting the State of the Union speech for the last several weeks now, and it comes during an election year. It comes during a presidential election year, and tonight the president will have the full attention of the entire nation. Now, if you talk to some Republicans, they hope the president doesn't decide to go political with this speech. If you talk to Democrats, they say, well, you know, by its very nature, this is a political speech.
I hope he...
Since he's been in office.
Bob Latta is making the point that for the first 2 years the president was in office, he had a Democratic Congress that passed everything he wanted. He says it's a bit unfair for the president now to say over the last year, when Republicans have control of just one house, to blame whatever ails the nation on the Republicans. Talk to both Latta and Kaptur. They will tell you jobs must be issue number one on the president's mind in his speech tonight. Coming up at 11 o'clock, we will talk live with Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur and Congressman Bob Latta, see if the president's speech lived up to their expectations. Reporting live from Washington, D.C., Bill Hormann, 13 ABC, Action News. New at 11 tonight. All right, so you're driving around. You're getting really angry because that guy cut you off or that woman's driving too slow. Well, did you ever think that maybe it's you? A new survey finds that many of us simply do not know the rules of the road. The GMAC insurance study finds that more than 1 in 5 Americans don't really even know enough to actually qualify for a driver's license. The smartest drivers, we're told, are in the state of Kansas. The worst drivers are in Washington, D.C. Ohio came in about 18th. The best drivers overall are in the Midwest. The very worst are in the Northeast. And sorry, ladies, men tested out as better drivers than you. The survey also found that drivers aged 60 to 65 actually scored the highest on the test. A couple of interesting health stories tonight. Kids who don't get enough shut-eye may be putting themselves at risk of becoming overweight. A new study finds that kids who do not get enough sleep are at a greater risk of being fat by the age of 7. But for every additional hour of sleep a child gets, the risk of becoming obese drops 60%. Well, if you're trying to have a baby, you might not want to drink that cup of coffee in the morning. A new scientific survey shows that when women drink more than 4 cups of coffee a day, their chances of conceiving dropped by 25%. Scientists believe the caffeine in the coffee is reducing muscle activity in the fallopian tubes. That stops the eggs from going from the ovaries to the womb.